Yeah,
I feel like there might be some resentment there with you and your parents.
Yeah, my brother is the same way. He's like, as soon as I get a dog, I'm getting a dog.
Yeah, my brother is the same way. He's like, as soon as I get a dog, I'm getting a dog.
I'm so excited to.
Hello and welcome. With all of your might and glory, you are now sitting, listening, earbuds in to the Please Shut Up podcast. Thank you and goodbye. No, not goodbye. Please listen. Thanks. Bye-bye.
You guys are taking my podcast virginity right now.
Really? You've never done one of these?
I know.
Wow.
So it's like you're like Tim Ferriss and I'm like Jocko.
Yeah.
That's true.
Whoa.
I remember the first time hearing Jocko. It was coming home from OU, and I was like, this guy is insane. And like, little did I know, I ended up reading a bunch of his books.
For real.
My neighbors are being fucking loud as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as cool, but
Hey.
you work with what you got.
You know, I will say, I want to thank you for being on our last episode, the average podcast, last 12 episodes. This is our 12th episode, so we're done.
It is 12?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is 12, but...
We got it in.
You're not done it? Are you done?
No, it's the average podcast. We're not average, bro.
Like the average one
Yeah,
last time.
yeah.
It took me a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean,
That video you sent me of Jocko having the protein powder scoop in and going to town. Oh, I loved it.
and he was in like a happy mood, which
You don't see often.
Yeah, it was weird. Was he just eating it?
So he put like 4 scoops of his protein powder. It's this berry protein powder.
Yeah.
And he's putting it in. He's talking about what he did today. He went on a run on the beach. He pans down and his dog's like passed out, so tired. And he pours it in. He's shaking it up, chatting about God knows what. And then he cracks it open. And he chugs it for about 15 seconds. And he goes, my God, this is so good. And then he drinks. It's his branded cherry.
I could not
thing.
imagine that.
Oh, it was just funny.
yeah, it was just, you never see him in that element. I
Yeah.
mean, even the video was colored.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't in black and white, and it was either like his daughter or wife filming, because you could hear them giggling.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, this is good. And he was just in a super, like, jolly mood, which he normally does.
Yeah, it's just funny to see those types of people in such a relaxed mood when normally they're so intense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or like, go ahead.
I was gonna say I couldn't imagine his dog's life. Like,
Yeah.
no, you don't get toys.
Yeah, for real.
No food until you fat.
I was thinking of him at the end of Peter Attia's podcast when his daughter came on. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And he was just so good with kids and like,
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
that was really
He's
cool.
had a little point in a podcast where he talked about it was some fan question. I just had my first son. Any recommendations on how I'm gonna raise my kid? Blah blah blah. And he was just talking about, like, really quickly. He was just saying, like, the biggest thing is, say they're not doing their homework. Say they're complaining about school. It's really about, like, kind of flipping it and being disappointed in yourself to your kids. Do you want to go turn that off?
Yeah.
I think I remember. I listened
But
to
he was
somewhere.
getting into how, like, instead of being just saying, why are you doing this? You have to do this because it's talking to your kids and flipping the role. It's like, wow, what have I done to make you not do your homework? Is there anything I can do to help? I'm failing as a parent, and just kind of putting all this pressure not on them but flipping it to you, like, man, can I help? And next thing you know, your kids start to turn around because they realize, wow, I can't do this to my dad. I can't do this to my mom.
As long as they're not really pieces of shit.
Yeah. That was just his little parenting teaching thing, which I liked, but
I like that too.
that was cool.
So what else about the Europe trip? I really haven't talked to you much about it. Aside, what?
Well, I was just gonna say, you got back from a trip. How long were you just in Europe for?
I was in Europe for 17 days-ish.
Nice.
Yeah, most of it was with family. So we did Germany, Austria, Italy, and Switzerland. And we were with family for about 13 days, and then just my brother and I hiked around Switzerland for 4 or 5 days.
Badass.
Stayed in an Airbnb, and yeah, it was cool.
Is there any big reason you went on the trip to begin with? Just a family trip sense?
Yeah, it was kind of, my brother just got married in October, which Andrew filmed the wedding video
Nice.
for. Excellent job. And I just graduated, and we figured before we get too busy with things, it was a good time to do a family trip together. Alicia, my brother's wife, my sister-in-law now. It's weird to say that. Came with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of was a good time and came together well.
Cool.
Salzburg is in Austria is where my family comes from, so it's always nice to go back there, see where my grandparents walked the streets one day.
Yeah, your family doesn't live there at all, do they?
We still have family in Germany, and we have like a really old great-grandmother in Austria still that I've kind of been told, like, you probably language barrier, and like I speak decent German, but she doesn't speak any English, and it's really just like not worth it.
Sure. That's wild.
Yeah.
But go ahead with your question. I just want to make sure.
Like setting the stage of what it was. While you were talking, I'm realizing that every time we have a friend on, it's because they went on a trip overseas. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But only reason.
Before we started recording, you were talking about like the cycling culture in Italy. What else? I don't know where I was going with this question.
What do you mean the cycling culture? Did you see a lot of it while you were there?
No, I know I was going to ask.
So, like Tour de France, like there's a big cycling culture in France, really all over in Europe, because the Alps and different mountain regions span kind of the entire continent. I don't know what to do with my hands. So there's a big culture around just doing stuff outside in general, and that happens to be one of the better things to do to them. It's a lot more. It's a better culture that facilitates it, as opposed to here, like the road, especially in Michigan, the roads aren't the greatest for it. The traffic and stuff, it's just not very friendly towards cycling. As opposed to like East Coast is a little better, New England area.
Agreed.
Anyway, there's just a really neat culture about it. You see, so the place we stayed in Italy, that was kind of the peak of that cycling culture experience that I got. It was this little ski resort town called Cortina d'Ampezzo.
Oh.
Cortina.
So it was cool to see that in the summer. Granted, I'd love to go back there and ski, but just to like see, it was only the locals there really, and us. So like every night there was something cool going on, like a concert one night, a farmer's market the next day, just all with like the locals. So you got like a good feel of the vibe there. So that was a cool thing about that area, but also because it's in the mountains, and that area in specific is the Dolomites, not the Alps.
Yeah.
So these are really like abrupt rock formation mountains. Instead of the Alps are more like gradual and higher and stuff. So it lends itself that there's a lot of really great rolling hills and mountain roads to ride on. And there's like a 3-to-1 ratio of cars to cyclers at any time.
Really?
And there's like families that all have like their matching uniforms. Wow. And just like you could, like these people are bad. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's like cafes halfway up the hill where you'll see some guys stop getting an espresso or some cake,
That's so cool.
taking a break. And being that we just got kind of into triathlons, and I'm planning on getting my first road bike for future triathlons and stuff like that in the near future. Mm-hmm. It got me really excited to like kind of get involved in that culture. And
agreed.
Yeah, that's what I meant by it. It's just it's so ingrained in their side. Like the cars are a lot more friendly towards cyclers, and they kind of have more of a stake in the road. I guess.
But I'm remembering this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is we're the only 3 that did the cross on the forehead.
Oh yeah.
With and I think it was you that brought that up originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was in book club.
Yeah,
we were reading.
Yeah.
That mystic book. It was that desert story.
Alchemist.
Yeah. Thank you.
See, so it originated from, of course, I think I got it from Tim Ferriss, but Phil Zimbardo, the Stanford professor who conducted the Stanford prison experiment, just happened to be one of the other things derived from him.
Sure.
Is that he would give this as an assignment to his students to draw a black square on your forehead and just go about a day. Ideally, when you're not doing anything too professional or having to impress anyone.
Yeah, sure.
And just kind of notice, like, like get acclimated to that feeling of being uncomfortable and like having this like glaring thing on you that you feel like is making you self-conscious and nervous to be out in public.
Totally.
And so that's what it kind of like starts as, yeah.
And wasn't one
training.
of the goals too to, like, if anybody asks, you just have to play it off. You can't tell them what you're doing as well. Just to be like, why is that a problem?
Yeah, I think one of the specific directives was it's easy to pawn things off. Oh, it's a social experiment.
Oh, don't worry, I'm just doing this for yeah, exactly.
So you can't say it's a social experiment. I can't remember what I said. I think I just said it's an experiment.
I think what you told me you said was just like, I'm doing something right now. I can tell you about it later. Like if it was someone that knew you, like let's say someone in a class, for example, it was something along the lines of that. Like, yeah, I'm doing something. Like this is just something I have to do right now, but I can tell you about it like in the next couple of days. Yeah, or it was like just something brief, like it's an experiment, and if they really care, they'll ask me again later. Yeah, and I can actually tell
follow
them.
Up. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, it takes away if you have to like explain. Well, I'm doing this to like try to break myself out of my shell a little more.
Yeah.
How was your guys' experience with it?
It was weird. I remember it was odd. It was at a point in my life where it wasn't that I was uncomfortable with myself, but doing something like that was more of a big deal compared to I feel like now. But I couldn't imagine doing something like that to work. I don't know what would happen. Yeah. But no, it was cool. It was really cool, and it's just amazing how self-conscious you are, and you're looking at everybody and imagining everybody's looking at you and talking about you, and you did something recently that kind of brought that same feeling up, right?
Oh, the painted fingernails.
With your nails.
Yeah. I was gonna propose that in book club as a challenge. Everybody got to paint their fingernails.
Interesting.
But hey, I mean, it's just you got to push the boundaries of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro. What was I gonna? Dude, I'm just having a bunch of brain farts right now.
It's okay.
It's alright.
This coffee's great.
Farts are supposed to be healthy, right? Farts are
my
healthy,
farts
burps are unhealthy.
My farts were smelling pretty good earlier. I got some quality. You've met Oakley, right? Mm-hmm. I spent some very quality time with Oakley before this.
Yeah.
And, dude, it's funny because Oakley looks pretty similar to Mocha.
Yeah.
I start crying right now. No. But I legit forget that Mocha's dead sometimes. Like, but it's been like 4 years.
Damn.
Not 4 years, 3 years.
He still puts out the food bowl.
Yeah.
You didn't eat today.
But like I'll come home or like be moving, because one thing is like at nighttime, if I was coming home, you would have to operate very quietly, because if Mocha would hear any sort of noise, it was just gonna be a bark fest, and then someone in my family was gonna get pissed off.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll be like very quietly walking in like James Bond, and I'm like, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But
sure.
You talked a while about getting a dog. Is that something you still want to do later on down the line?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I was just talking about in general was, it's not bad to even, because it's like, oh, I want to get a golden retriever, but that's a big dog. Like that dog can't go a day without getting outside. Like, and say I was to get a golden retriever right now, and to train it and do everything like that, you have to be able to come home during lunch. You have to be able to let it out every day.
That's
like,
all dogs.
But I'm just, all dogs. But I'm just saying a bigger dog is a bigger responsibility.
Literally.
Bigger poops.
Literally,
Yeah.
bigger poops.
point.
But I was just saying, in general, one thing I might start with is just getting a smaller dog in general.
Yeah.
An Oakley-sized dog.
Get Oakley. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
We can steal them.
Yeah, no, baby.
No, I don't know.
But in general, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Not in my
Yeah.
life to be able to handle something like that. But I'm very looking forward to the point where
Yeah, you never had a dog. That's so crazy.
Never.
Yeah,
I feel like there might be some resentment there with you and your parents.
Yeah, my brother is the same way. He's like, as soon as I get a dog, I'm getting a dog. I'm so excited to. Are your parents at all talking about getting another dog?
No, they'd been there, done that. It was like a, and I mean they did a horrible job training Mocha, so Mocha was a little demon. I think my dad was the only person that was extremely sad when Mocha died.
Oh.
My mom was like, but and I mean I was sad, but it's like, man, whatever.
Yeah. What's your feelings on getting another pet?
Oh, I'll totally have a dog when I'm older.
What's that stage? A few years from now, 10 years? I mean, obviously,
I feel like if I could have the master plan of my life, like go according to plan, it would be like dog for a few years, then kids. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, they say like dog is like a prep for kids, even though I feel like it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Then wife.
Yeah.
Then wife. Yeah. How was espresso? How was coffee? Do you like it more there compared to here? When I first was going to Italy and all that, one of my dads... Dude,
there's this bug that's been flying around. Like I thought about killing it earlier on, but I don't want PETA coming after us.
One of my dad's coworkers said, man, when you go to Italy, you're going to have their espresso, you're going to have their coffee, you're going to get back to the U.S., and you're going to be like, I can't even drink this stuff anymore. I was like, no.
Wait, who said that?
One of my dad's coworkers.
Oh.
But I was just like, I mean, the coffee's fine, it's good. And I was just going to even ask in general, too, along with the coffee question, what was the best food in general moving around the different places?
Okay.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, the coffee's good. I don't think it's anything like mind-blowing. And also, I'd rather not just have 2 sips of, an espresso is a very small quantity.
It's called a shot, bro.
Yeah. So you can do Americano and just dilute your espresso.
That's what I would do.
I mean, yeah, it's good. My favorite coffee actually is like Costa Rican or like South American. Costa Rica is not South American, but that region.
Yeah.
That's my favorite flavor of coffee. But yeah, although I will speak to the experience of like getting coffee, like being in a cafe, and that's where my food choice will come in too. That's one of the things about just like Europe in general is the whole like just chilling in a cafe, like drinking a coffee, or like in Germany and Austria, it's Kaffee and Kuchen, coffee and cake. Not my biggest thing to eat cake in the morning or in the middle of the day, but that's it. Like they sit there and they just relax in the middle of the day. Mm-hmm. A lot of these like outdoor cafe areas, and it's just a nice vibe. Like it's nice to hang out there, and I love like trying out my German in a lot of these type of places, and those
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I was gonna say we're not gonna understand. So you can just make
Möchte einen schwarzen Kaffee bitte ohne Zucker?
I could order my coffee in Italian. I don't remember. I was just trying to think of it, but it was sweet. It just feels good too.
When you're
like less of a gringo.
Yeah, and they appreciate it. Anywhere you go, they appreciate when you make the slightest bit of effort, and like most of the time, you can tell that they like get the sense. Like they hear my obviously like I'm not fluent.
Yeah,
I'm like a little bit conversational, but they can hear the accent, so they slow down a little bit. And then if I ever get in trouble or like don't understand something to say, I'm just like, yeah, sorry, English was probably better. But like they appreciate that you've tried.
Yeah.
And that's like everywhere I go, like I tried. So that was fun.
There's nothing like a pastry and Americano, and you're just chilling in a little small coffee shop. It's just people with newspapers everywhere, and it's just a cool feeling. And the pastries are always so dang good. It goes so well with coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, un pasta was pastry. And so I would say un pasta, and then I'd point at one. That was great.
No, I feel so left out of every single conversation we have about international travel. I'm just like...
It's just not cultured, bro.
Yeah, I know. Of all the places, I know you didn't really finish the food question, but I want to ask this before I forget about it. And do you know that he's been to Nepal? Okay, so...
That would have been a good one to have... after.
Well, I did have that basically.
Isn't that where you did your study abroad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know that. I'm sorry. It took me a second.
Of all the places you've been, where would you want to go back to, like if you had to go somewhere in a week?
What would he do there? Just enjoy it?
I don't know, whatever
for
he
a
wants
week.
to do.
For a week, you said?
No, in a week.
I can go back to a place that I've been for only a week.
No, in a week.
Oh, like leave in a week from today.
Yeah.
But what is he living there? Is he vacationing there? That's a part of the question.
He's gonna do with it what he chooses.
How much money do I have?
Yeah.
Which airline am I taking?
There you go.
Spirit.
Oh.
Yeah.
The flight to Nepal on Spirit. That'll be fun.
Yeah, you just hold on to the wing.
So I'll answer the food question really quickly.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to that. So I really love mainly in like Germany and Austria, is they have really fresh bread and meat and cheese. So every morning,
So good.
I made a nice like open face sandwich. You get some of their fresh bread, do a layer of butter, layer of jelly, cheese, and a few of the different meat, because like they're known for their bratwurst, their sausages, and their meats, and they have all these different combos and like ways to make them. But it's all really like they don't use all the preservatives and additives that we use. It's all really fresh, and like you can taste it too. And it's just it's so, like I didn't get tired of it. Every morning I'd have at least like 2 or 3 open face sandwiches like that, and they're my favorite. So to Nepal. Oh no, to your question of where I would go in a week.
To Nepal?
Yeah. I'd go to Nepal. Yeah. Subconsciously, that's what I was thinking. It's just I like going places that are different, first of all. And that's such a drastic difference from what we're used to here. That's why I chose it.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of like being in Europe, like we're all around the Alps. You know, that's my family's from kind of an Alp region. I just love being in the mountains, the whole like climbing culture, being in a place where Everest and the Himalayas are in Nepal, or on the Nepal-China border and the Nepal-Tibet border.
Yeah.
So before I was looking in, before we really got into triathlons, before I was looking into stepping it up and doing a half Ironman, my goal was to go back to Nepal. So like you said, I went there on a study abroad. We studied like infectious diseases, kind of like systemic factors that influence the spread of disease in their health systems. So like their agricultural economy, they mainly rely on agriculture and tourism.
Did you learn a lot while you were there?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Like the most like fruitful month
Yeah.
culturally and like relating to my career goals. And I've watched a few of your other podcasts, like Brad said, with his trip to Russia. An experience like that, when we're like staying in barracks in the jungle, and like there's like bats and lizards and like cockroaches this big in our room, and it's like 110 degrees. Like it's like how people describe being in war. Like not that I'm comparing it to that at all, but it's like a camaraderie in like
totally
in those I don't know, circumstances that aren't the norm, that are a little bit. I'm blanking on the word.
No worries.
You just get the camaraderie because you're all in an unfamiliar place and you're all kind of like, whoa, what's going on? So you kind of just bind together.
Yeah. You lack that stability underneath you, so you crave for that stability within the people that you're with.
And everybody's in the same boat, so they just want to latch on to somebody in a sense to help.
And I just everything about Nepal, like it's very welcoming. It's the safest I've ever felt anywhere, even though it's like so foreign. It's mainly Hindu culture, a little bit of Buddhist. Maybe it's that mixture, along with the climbing culture, with the Himalayas, and it's just very communal and welcoming. And you make the slightest effort, like most places, to assimilate into their culture, like a namaste. And, and they just love it.
Wait, so namaste is like a real thing?
Oh, it's everything there.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's hello, goodbye. Well, there's like a lot of different translations, but one is like I see like deep into you, like I respect you.
Do you?
Is Buddhism somewhat similar to Hinduism? It might sound ridiculous to say.
No, actually, I would I've studied more Buddhism than I have Hinduism. I actually just ordered the Bhagavad Gita. So
dude, I want to read that really bad.
Oh.
So maybe I'll update you after that.
I wasn't sure.
To me, Hinduism, although it focuses on like yoga is a big part of Hinduism and stuff like that, and like the practices that you instill that foster your well-being and ultimately your ability to contribute to the well-being of everyone. I think it falls into more of a category of like the Christianity and Islam and stuff like that. Whereas Buddhism, for me, and why it's maybe the one that I've kind of identified most with in recent years, it's about you initiating, you putting in the practice. Not that other religions don't have that practice, but it's relying on a deity for, your reassurance or whatever. Buddhism's, it's rooted in, the story of Buddha, whatever, is rooted in this guy sees all this suffering in the world, sets out to, through his path to achieve equanimity, to relieve the suffering in the world. So it's like you putting in the work yourself to get yourself in a better state of mind, better well-being, more at peace with yourself and the world, so that you can pass that experiential knowledge on to other people and try to reduce suffering in the world.
Sure.
So in that sense, that it's less about a deity and more about like your day-to-day practice and the way you live your life. That's why I would distinguish those two and put Hinduism more in the general deity religion category. But yeah, so for those reasons and many others, I just love Nepal. I'm kind of, like I said, the Buddhism and stuff, Eastern culture and philosophy really fascinates me. So I would go back to, this is my original plan, was to hike around, to trek some of the Himalayas. I wouldn't climb Everest, too crowded, too expensive.
Yeah. Expensive, yeah.
For just, kind of a trophy accomplishment.
Yeah.
But there's some really beautiful regions that you can just trek around in, and the cool thing about that area is, there's villages like kind of all along the way. So like, and they're used to people doing that, having Westerners come and like stay in their village, and it's just very like salt of the earth people that you just stay with along the whole. So you don't need to camp or anything. You just stay in these villages and like hike around the Annapurna mountain range, or the Annapurna region is the part of the Himalayas that I was kind of honing in on. That's really pretty. And then there are two other reasons, long-winded response. One of them is we worked with this, I would call it almost a biotech company in Nepal. As weird as that might sound, like they do some pretty innovative, cool stuff in a wide range of disciplines in biomedical sciences. So to work with them, and the last reason was I found a volunteer trip where you can teach English to Buddhist monks, and I just thought that was so cool. And
that's
like,
hilarious.
That's wild.
That's like perfect. So
that is.
So that was kind of my grand scheme of getting back there next summer.
Dang.
That would be so funny, teaching Buddhist monks English.
Yeah, you might have to give me that little flyer.
No. Shit.
Have you ever seen the movie 7 Years in Tibet?
No.
Or heard of it? So Brad Pitt plays this Austrian mountain climber guy. Terrible Austrian accent. Just like it, and it's pretty old too.
Sure.
But the story is he's climbing one of the mountains. There's some feud between Austria and Great Britain, who is like kind of someone in control of Tibet at the time, or has some political influence. So he basically gets detained while he's climbing this mountain and has to stay in Tibet. Makes like best friends with the Dalai Lama, who is at that time like 11 years old, which is the current Dalai Lama.
Wow.
So it's a true story.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Brad Pitt just plays the climber. He's not friends with Dalai Lama. And so he's teaching him all this stuff about like Western culture and like showing him American movies and stuff. And they actually had like a movie theater built in Tibet for the young, 11, 12-year-old Dalai Lama to watch movies and like learn about
so funny
American culture and Western culture. And so this guy stayed there for 7 years, just like being best friends with them. And they still keep in touch now, apparently.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I believe they discovered the snub-nosed monkey in Nepal. No, I think so. I want to look it up.
Yes,
but it's in that area. But it was discovered in like 2003. They discovered a new species of monkey, and I think it was in Nepal. It just struck me. I don't know.
Back to what we're actually talking about. How do you guys feel about the whole Dalai Lama thing? Like,
He was born into the Dalai Lama, right?
Well, no, at least as my dad explained it to me, which is a big disclaimer, is they basically set out a bunch of things, like, and he basically has to pick which one is from his past life. I don't exactly know how it works,
I forget.
but it sounds like the biggest horseshit of all time.
Yeah.
Like a little 4-year-old just like
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah. So
It's just amazing that something that small and that minuscule, they raise this person with so much praise, and in a weird way, they grow into their position, which is just a wild factor.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make an argument that yes, he is the Dalai Lama, but in a weird way too, he's as if, you could argue, as if he's every other kid. But the way he's raised, the way he's taught, the way he's brought up, he grows into be the Dalai Lama. I don't know, it's crazy.
He was the Dalai Lama.
I know. I mean, your
nature.
argument, that's what I was saying.
That's why it's cool, because like compared
awesome.
to like monarchies and shit, where you're born into a royal family and like it's by chance that he's kind of born into something. Well, I mean, he chooses, I guess. So
yeah, I don't know.
But it's different, because like it's by chance using someone as this beacon of like light and like peace and stuff.
It's a cool concept, but it's just I don't know if I have a fully formulated opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know that about it.
That could be totally wrong.
Does he control a lot of, like, what is the Dalai Lama deciding in a way? Like, how much power does he have? I don't know what his like role is in a sense.
I know he was in the news recently. He said some shit about.
He says some crazy stuff.
Wait a minute. No, he was like basically like, if you're not good looking, like, what are you doing? Like, no, it was not a good look for the Dalai Lama. Did you hear anything about this?
No.
Oh shit. Well.
Yeah. Maybe none of what you said is true.
I've been lying this entire time.
Yeah.
Well, since this segue can't be any harsher than the snub-nosed monkey,
I like that one.
I was thinking.
You talked a little bit about like your career goals and stuff like that, and you and I have talked a lot about, like, it seems to me that your idea of what you want to do has evolved and changed along the way. Where are you at now? Because I haven't talked to you in quite some time about what the vision is.
It does evolve a lot.
Yeah.
And it at times, because it is continually evolving, it seems like I'm just pulling shit out of my ass. And but no, it's all very meticulously thought out. And so right now, to give everyone a basis for my grand plan, I just graduated from Michigan State. I'm going on to Georgetown. I'm leaving in like 2 weeks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's soon.
To move to DC. I have a year-long master's program in biotechnology. So it's a lot of the biochemical foundations, but also a lot of the business and regulatory aspects of biotech and all that falls under that umbrella. Drug development, gene editing type stuff, just a lot of the up-and-coming technologies of biomedical sciences and biomedical engineering.
That's cool.
And so that's kind of my gap year before medical school. And
Gap year.
yeah, I'll be spending a lot of money instead of making it, which most people do during their gap year. So it originally started as like, this is kind of my other area of interest besides strictly medicine. I'm going to pursue that because part of it's an internship.
Okay.
So you intern with a biotech company or like with the NIH labs in Maryland. I'm going to scratch that itch and see if I get anything out of it. See if that's, maybe I can save a lot of time and money and just go down that path if that's what really inspires passion in me. Or I could use that as a unique perspective to bring into medical school and into the future as a doctor, and use it as a future pivoting point. Because I don't, just like for any profession or any career path, nobody stays at the same company for 30 or 40 years anymore.
Sure.
So as much as I want to be a physician, help people, provide for their well-being, treat their illnesses, reduce the suffering in the world, I'm not Buddha. There is a part of me that wants to be involved in a more scalable, systemic change or improvement in that realm, in biomedical sciences and health. So I'm kind of, so specifically right now, if I had to choose a specialty to go into, I would choose surgery.
Okay.
And so I want to perfect that craft as well as I can and focus on that, for a number of years and provide care to people. But then at some point, I want to use the experience from that and from the biotech background to, maybe have a role with a biotech company, some sort of advisory or executive role, and work towards some sort of systemic improvement in medicine, work on some new cancer immunotherapy. One thing that's really interesting me now, we talked about a little bit, is the role of AI in medicine. And it's kind of like, my dad is a big auto guy, and he was on the forefront of electric cars and kind of in the right time at the right place to be a major player in that field. And I've kind of thought that, maybe that's a potential opportunity for me, is AI in medicine, and a lot of the possibilities that it opens up to make more efficient and more effective kind of what is a broken system nowadays.
Sure. What my brother recently finished his surgery rotation, general surgery. So he could add anything, and loved it, like really liked it. Yeah. But it is crazy because he'd tell me, I was in surgery for 5 hours or whatever that might be. But he was right with the surgeon. He was the assistant surgeon, and so he'd be working on something else. My brother would be stitching something else up, and you still got the nurses handing you all these things, and it's cool because he's been in school for so long, and finally he's able to do surgery, which is just sweet. But I was going to ask, what about surgery that you've learned thus far makes you think, that's where I want to specialize. That's what I want to do.
And granted, I've had a lot of periods of like, this one sounds really cool. I think this is a long way to go still. So it could be a lot of pivots along the path. But I think some of the things that make it seem like something that might be a little bit more consistent, as a desire, as a purpose for me to pursue, are the fact that it's like combination of a physical and a mental acuity. So, anything like training for triathlons,
that's a good point.
Martial arts. I don't do martial arts, but like I am fond of it for that reason, is that it takes mental and physical acuity and the integration of both. And it is like the perfection of a craft.
Sure. And
something that you can like really focus in on. The other aspect of that that's kind of related is that, like you said, 5-hour surgeries.
Yeah.
You're getting in a zone. You're in a flow state where other times, you interact with patients afterward and before and stuff. You have consultations, but you're really cultivating that flow state. Just like, you're on a long run or a long swim or something, and you're in the zone, and you're not only doing something physical, but you have this mental self-talk. You have this incredible sharpness of your mind.
Sure. Where,
if I make the wrong incision or, do something wrong that leads to an infection, this person's life is at stake. That kind of weight with that really focused environment is what intrigues me. Maybe more so than emergency medicine, because I don't know how I feel about like adding the time constraint to that. But I just think that like that's what really intrigues me, is that like cultivation of the flow state and of that mental and physical integration and like perfecting the craft.
That's what Peter Attia was saying. One thing that why he loved surgery was that it was, all right, here's this problem, and then in 5 to 6 hours or however long the surgery is, I've accomplished the goal.
Totally.
And he realized that he enjoyed that so much when he went to research and they were trying to solve a problem that they weren't solving. And he was talking about this one cancer doctor, I think Stephen Pearson was his name maybe. He was trying to discover this new thing with immunotherapy, and he went 10 years and lost every single patient.
Oh my gosh.
And then he finally got it. But he's just like, imagine playing pickup for 9 or 10 years and losing every single game.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a horrible, it's people's lives.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Do you think that plays a role in it as well? Just like the shortness of like the...
And really completing a role. like this person is gonna be way healthier and way better now. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, that does. It's not something I'd immediately think of, but that definitely is a factor. I give so much credit to the people that do go into research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's fucking tough. Like, you could, by a chance, by some stroke of combination of luck and preparation and intellect and persistence, you can come across a groundbreaking discovery that changes the way we treat people or helps to cure some disease. But for most people, it's a lot of failure after failure after failure after tinkering with, like, why didn't this experiment go right? So I have a ton of praise and credit for the people who go into research, because I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that quicker satisfaction that I desire, but
it's almost like you're an inventor. Like, you have to get used to not making something that's worth it. In a way, not good. It doesn't really accomplish much, but you just keep rallying it. If someone says, well, it took you 100 tries to make a light bulb, I found 99 ways not to make a light bulb, whole thing. But it's just cool. I mean, it's cool. You're getting used to failing. Mm-hmm. You have to start to accept that in your life. And it'd be really curious to see how you move on maybe after a success or after a successful invention or creation or discovery.
I think that's part of the reason why I'm so envious that you are potentially going. Obviously you said you are doing the biotech thing, so maybe you do discover a love for that, but most likely you're going to med school, and I think I'm partially envious of that because it's like, hey, I'm going to be in here for an extended amount of time, a few years, and you're just going through that training. And there's nothing expected other than just keeping up with the training. You don't have to become a doctor until you're 6 years in or however long it takes you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in every other field, it's like you start and then you already are supposed to have arrived. Whereas if you want to become really good at something, it takes a really long time. Like this author, Austin Kleon, has this thing that he says, give yourself a decade. Like whatever you want to do it. Put your head down for 10 years and then look up and see where you're at, which I think is a really cool thing about med school.
That's one of the comforts about it, is that, in which I give credit to people like entrepreneurs and stuff like that. I'm signing up for something that I know I have to put in this much work. Granted, it's hard, it's a long road, you don't get paid for a while, and then you get paid a little bit while you're an indentured servant in residency. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I know it's going to pay off. I just have to put in this work. I know what's coming. Whereas in a lot of careers, you don't know what's coming. And even if you're innovative and persistent and exploring new opportunities, you still might just not come up with anything. You might not move up the corporate ladder, or your business idea might not manifest. That's one of the things that's comforting about that field, and maybe one of the things that really drew me to it is maybe I can't handle that uncertainty, and if I do fail in some entrepreneurial venture, maybe I just need that comfort.
Yeah,
and it's just to even a little bit of devil's advocate. What's good and also
you did this to me last podcast too.
What's also bad about it is, you start to get down this line of it takes you 6 years to become this person, to become this profession. And it's just scary that you could be 4 years into it, $100,000 into it, and you might be looking yourself in the mirror like, something's not clicking. Like, I don't want to do this. But that pressure of, I'm already this far. And it's just, it's just freaky in that sense. And maybe that's what turned me away from it in that regard, which is just interesting.
That has been the basis of mounds and mounds of anxiety of my own.
Yeah, for real.
Thanks for that, John. No, it's a legit point. I was listening to a Peter Attia podcast right before this, and he was talking about that exact thing because he went through all of med school, just ended residency, and then started working in finance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and then immediately when he's about to make doctor bucks.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Be in charge of his schedule.
And then sort of came back to it. But he was just talking about how he felt pressure from his mentors. Obviously, he had spent a lot of money. He had spent all those years in just thinking of the sunk cost fallacy, which is so real. You feel like you're so far down this path that it would be a total waste of time, which,
that's ballsy to do.
Yeah. But then, I mean, it worked out. He came back to like his medical.
Now he loves it.
Type stuff. Speaking of like entrepreneurial things, and I just thought I would ask both of you guys this because I think it's a fun question. If you had to start a business like within the next year, what would it be?
Can it be something that I have no knowledge in?
Yeah, anything.
Oh, wow.
It's just, I mean, it's more of a hypothetical. Unless it's a good idea, I'll steal it and do it myself.
Paper straws.
Yeah. I can go first because I have an answer to my own question.
Go for it, bro.
I was actually thinking of it earlier this week when I was trying to watch like a tutorial on how to make iced coffee at home, actually. And I was watching these like YouTube videos on how to do it, and they were just like very long. And it was something that they could have easily explained in like an audio chunk or something I could have quickly learned. I didn't need a visual aspect of it. And I was just thinking there is really no, I mean, obviously there's the iTunes podcast app, but there's really no like social media for audio. And I think audio, while it doesn't have the visual aspect, that's also a huge plus because people are commuting, people are doing things where they need to be able to look around. So almost like a YouTube or social media for audio, that would be what I would start.
That's very interesting.
It'd be cool to make some sort of podcast that was just how to do it. So you just have an audio explanation of, I don't know, like you said, making coffee or how to make bread. How to make your own bread and cure your own yeast and all that. Like, that would be sweet.
Whoa. This podcast is over.
That would be interesting. Really quick to answer your question to a slight degree. And I'm blanking on his name. And the football player that left the NFL for marijuana and things like that, Ricky Williams.
I think you just
it just hit. I choose weed. Well, yeah, that was like the whole. That's what they said about him, but I think he did retire. He definitely did. But anyways, his company, he's transitioned towards this herbalism company, and Madeline was doing a conference with him. He was leading the conference, and she took about 20-minute video of him telling his story of leaving the NFL, of getting into this herbalism. And man, just hearing his explanations and why he does what he does and how much he's learned and studying herbalism in India and really trying to translate this to different cultures and really make this movement of there is a lot to learn from plants and other organisms that we don't even approach, or we don't even look at. And so, one, I think it would just be incredibly interesting. But two, I think you could do a lot of good if you were to start a company in that. I mean, I know he's already getting into it, but it would just be an amazing thing to really get behind. And one, to help myself, to be selfish and help your friends and family with this herbalism. But two, to maybe make, like we were talking about with research, maybe you make this crazy discovery in India. You find this plant that just changes a lot of what we do on the day-to-day. It's cool. And in him, just to go on a little bit more, he talked about how he would basically diagnose these people, and rather than just giving them one straight up drug, straight up plant, it's all about understanding their symptoms and understanding these deeper relations to what he's doing. And yeah, you could hear it and say, it's a bunch of BS. But what he was saying just is very interesting and very, there's a lot more to it than what breaks the surface. But yeah, that's my little rant.
I feel like we're on Shark Tank. What's your idea?
I mean, I'd say it's something with AI and medicine.
Yeah.
I have no clue what.
Dude, the first time you were saying AI and medicine, I made the connection of Allen Iverson, and I was trying so hard not to laugh the entire time. I was like, please don't say AI again. Please don't say it.
That's great.
I saw you smiling a little bit.
I
was like, what is that?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of AI and that's to crossover. Yeah, I think medicine is a really interesting industry because there is, especially in this country, a lot of issues. And I mean, I don't think we need to even go into the
Sure.
details, partially because I don't totally understand all of them. But I mean, there's a lot of sick people, and not only sick physically, sick mentally, and just, a lot of people aren't well, which is, you think, you would at least hope as time progresses, like wellness would increase, which it has in many respects, but it also hasn't in other ones. So that's just such a cool place to have innovation, because it has such a real effect, where it's like, yeah, it's really cool if you make a nice pencil. Like, people need to write with good pencils, but like, you're
Doing
changing people's lives. That's pretty cool.
Agreed. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But then the drawback of that is anything in that realm takes a long ass time to manifest.
Yeah.
Mainly speaking, like drug development and research, you have to go through preclinical trials and then multiple rounds of clinical trials. But yeah, and you touched on, like, our system's messed up. It really has a lot to do with healthcare, like the system of healthcare and how healthcare is delivered, and the relationship with pharmaceuticals. Like, some of the stuff is really kind of messed up. Like, you hear a lot about like how pharma is bad and stuff, and inherently it's not. It's just a lot of the ways that you can, lengthen the initial patent on a drug, which, so breakthrough, use the wrong verbiage there, but the initial patent on a drug is much more expensive on brand name drugs than any other version succeeding it. So any other version after the initial patent runs out, then other companies are open to make generics. And so those are a lot less expensive.
Yep.
But there's a lot of like maneuvering that the companies can do with adding like one little chemical that may not affect anything, but it makes it into a new drug so that they can renew that patent, stuff like that. There's a whole lot that goes into it, and it really is. It's not just the delivery that's wrong, or our technology is not up to date. It's a broken system.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult in that area. But
and that's why my allergy medicine is way cheaper than other ones.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's why AI is cool, because it works at the system level.
Totally.
And people think of it as like it's gonna replace doctors. I'm gonna meet with a robot, and that's not in any field. Like, that's not what's gonna happen. AI is very narrow. It's really good at narrow processing, and we are good at broad processing. It takes a lot of input for those systems to work. Whereas that's the difference between. There's a few differences, but between us and AI is that we only need a little bit of info, like as kids, and we can extrapolate, and we're better at making cultural amendments to our thought processing and our decision making.
Sure.
Whereas AI needs a ton of data, and then it's really good at narrow processing and doing one specific job really well. So some of the initial uses that it's starting to get.
I'm just pausing. The cameras went off. I was like, I want you to keep talking. I feel like we're hitting.
Jeez, I am just killing it today with the class.
You are. Let me get out of that.
Thanks. Woo!
So what else did you have to say about that before I rudely cut you off, if anything?
Well, that's all I have to say about that. No, I think that was about it. Just that it can perform narrow-minded functions that we're doing now much better. It's not going to take over. It'll take over some jobs, but it won't take over doctors' jobs. It'll just allow them to make much more informed decisions, considering a lot of factors that are contributing to the health and the treatment of a patient, much more educated factors, and to make a much more informed and responsible decision.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No.
One thing that scares me about AI is, like, I don't know very much about it. I have tried to listen to a lot of things, but it just kind of goes over my head. But there seems to be two such distinct camps of people that are like, don't worry, it's going to be totally fine. And then there's another group of people that are going, holy fucking shit. Yeah. Holy shit. We do not realize what we're about to do. And I'm just kind of like who do I believe? And obviously I I want to be optimistic, but I can't not hear the other people talking.
It's
and not necessarily with medicine, just AI more broadly.
But it's a tough thing because AI means so much.
Yeah.
It means a robot that's going to take over, but it also means I was reading just different articles in digital marketing on how AI is influencing how we advertise.
Yeah.
But it's just having, rather than a person sitting there and finding all these demographics and breaking down the age, the location, and the way AI works, and just it simplifies so many processes for you. And just how AI, for example, in digital marketing, it grabs information, it understands information to such a good extent now compared to 5 years ago that a job in digital marketing can be a lot smoother. It can be a lot faster. And your input isn't crunching numbers, so to say. It's more of applying that information that the AI extracts.
Yeah.
And so it's making more use of your time, so to speak.
And that's a good point. I think mainly the concern that I hear is like machine learning type stuff. But even then, I sort of understand what that is compared to AI. I mean, it's more of I think it's a step below it in terms of like specificity.
Yeah.
But I still don't totally understand all that stuff. And it's scary because, I mean, I feel like of all the things I know a lot about it, I feel like technology is like higher up there. And if I don't understand it, my parents or just like older, a lot of other people aren't going to. Or, I don't know. I'm kind of beating a dead horse right now.
Just a really cool book that really gets into AI and it talks about the future is Origins, and it's in the Da Vinci Code series. The writer that I can't remember either. But basically, it's his last book he wrote, I believe, the most recent book.
Dan Brown?
Yeah, thank you.
I've never read those, but I don't know why I know that.
But basically, they're in this futuristic environment, and the AI is helping them through their basically solving this mystery. But it's really an interesting part when AI starts to understand and make its own art and create its art, like literally like paintings art. And just how, and it just talks about, obviously it's a theory, but just talking about it grabs all these it takes in literally every painting that's ever been created and makes something new, but then it's its own personality. And I just think things start to get scary when AI gets personality. And what personality means, I don't know, but it's just it's a really interesting avenue. Once it's making decisions because it's taken in every single aspect, that's where it's like, whoa.
I think you can find examples on either end. Examples to scare you or examples to make you really hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, there's the AI AlphaGo that beat the world champion at the old Chinese game Go.
Yeah.
It's really more complicated than chess and checkers and stuff. To be like, oh, that's really scary. But the thing about that is the makers of that technology, of that AI system, didn't release the algorithm that it's made with. So we don't know how much input they get. So the thing that makes me optimistic is that you have to remember anything that we make, at least right now, it's with the influence of humans. So we have to give it a certain data set to work off of. We have to give it our parameters. So in medicine, this is what a cancerous skin lesion looks like, and this is what a cancerous skin lesion doesn't look like, and here are some distinguishing features. And we input a bunch of data, and then it can process really well, and it's really good at recognizing patterns, and then we can use those patterns that it recognizes to make a little bit deeper level of cognitive decisions and stuff. But that's what gives me hope, is that regardless, at least right now, I think we're far away from devising an algorithm or an AI system that just kind of blank slate and goes on its own. We have to put in all the input ourselves, and it's all using our biases and our emotions and our influences and our data sets. Whether it's facial recognition, like these are the points on the face that are distinguishable. I think that's what like kind of, at least for now, assures me that it won't be anything too scary.
Yeah.
Because it's birthed from us.
Yeah. It's a cool thing, though, that truly any year it could just all of a sudden skyrocket. It's something that could pick up so quick that it's just cool.
Crazy, man.
Thank you, man.
So back to those monkeys.
Yeah, snub nose, baby.
I'm trying to think. Do you guys have anything else that you want to bring up, or that?
I just want to say with those snub-nosed monkeys, that's part of the reason people believe in Bigfoot, is the simple fact that in 2003 they discovered a new species of monkeys. That's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for talking, dude. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me. This
Yeah.
is wonderful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I think
popping my podcast chair.
Yeah, and do you want to maybe say your Instagram, your whatever, where maybe
his
people?
book that he's gonna write.
Yeah, people might want to follow your journey. So if you want to.
Book will come out in like 40 years. At wizard_of_pause.
Love it, love it, love
Put
it.
a doctor in front of there probably in 40 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
40.
I didn't mean to say 40. I was realizing that's what I said.
Thanks, bro.
But yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I think this would be fun to look back at to see what you actually end up doing.
Yeah, this was really fruitful. I appreciate it. Any excuse to hang out with you guys is a good one.
So just Venmo us $100 each, and we'll put this live.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
But
All right. Good work. See you guys.
Namaste.
Namaste.